On the lush green hills overlooking the vast Pacific Ocean at San Simeon, California, Hearst Castle stands majestically as a symbol of extravagance and boundless ambition, a structure built from 1919 to 1947 by the powerful newspaper publisher William Randolph Hearst and the talented architect Julia Morgan. The main house, known as Casa Grande, along with 3 guest houses and expansive gardens, magnificent pools, became a California historical landmark in 1958, attracting millions of visitors each year to admire the beauty of Mediterranean revival architecture blended with Spanish and classical European styles. But behind the Enchanted Hill that Hearst once called it, lies a deeper history, rooted in this land thousands of years earlier, when the Chumash and Salinan indigenous tribes lived in harmony with nature, hunting, fishing, and building villages along the coast and the Salinas Valley. The San Simeon area once belonged to rancherias, such as Steyahuayo, Tisimasu, and Zaho Saltanel, where the Chumash and Salinan maintained a rich culture with rituals, rock art, and sacred connections to the ocean and mountains, until Spanish colonists arrived in the late 18th century, establishing missions like Mission San Miguel Arcangel and Mission San Antonio de Padua, leading to the decline of the native population due to disease, forced labor, and land loss. By the time of Mexican independence, this land was divided into large ranchos such as Rancho Piedra Blanca, Rancho Santa Rosa, and Rancho San Simeon, granted to Californio families. But the transfer of power after the Mexican-American War in 1848 paved the way for American encroachment, with treaties ignored and land falling into the hands of wealthy investors. It was George Hearst, William Randolph's father, a successful miner from the California Gold Rush era, who purchased about 40,000 acres of Rancho Piedra Blanca in 1865, gradually expanding to over 250,000 acres, turning it into a vast cattle ranch with a wharf at San Simeon Bay and a simple ranch house on the hill, where the Hearst family often camped during William's childhood vacations. When Phoebe Apperson Hearst passed away in 1919, William Randolph inherited this immense estate, and instead of continuing the simple camping lifestyle, he decided to build a permanent masterpiece, contacting Julia Morgan, the first female architect to graduate from the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris and who had previously worked for his mother, to transform Camp Hill into La Cuesta Encantada, a home he initially described modestly as something a little more comfortable. The collaboration between Hearst and Morgan lasted nearly 3 decades, with Morgan overseeing almost every detail, from earthquake-resistant reinforced concrete structures to importing European antiquities, while Hearst constantly changed ideas, purchasing paintings, sculptures, ancient ceilings, and even Roman temple facades to integrate into the project. Construction began slowly with the guest houses, Casa del Mar, Casa del Monte, and Casa del Sol, using local labor and skilled craftsmen, with temporary accommodations near the wharf to transport heavy materials up the hill via light rail and rough dirt roads. The construction and decoration costs were estimated at under $10 million at the time, a colossal sum reflecting luxury, but also becoming a financial burden as Hearst's media empire faced difficulties in the 1930s. From the early years, San Simeon became a gathering place for Hollywood and political elites, with guests like Charlie Chaplin, Cary Grant, Winston Churchill, and Calvin Coolidge chauffeured up the hill in luxury cars, enjoying the Neptune Pool and Roman Pool, fruit orchards, and even a private zoo with elephants, deer, and leopards. But beneath that glamorous facade, this land carries traces of profound change, from the loss of indigenous peoples to the ambition of a new empire, where architectural beauty conceals layers of history that are complex and sometimes somber. As Hearst Castle gradually took shape through the 1920s and 1930s, the project continually expanded with Casa Grande as the centerpiece, twin towers inspired by Spanish churches, surrounded by 165 rooms, 61 bathrooms, and a vast art collection that Hearst accumulated from childhood trips to Europe and later through dealers like Duveen Brothers. Julia Morgan, with extraordinary patience and talent, coordinated hundreds of workers, from builders to mosaic artists and carvers, constructing the outdoor Neptune Pool with Greek sea god statues and the indoor Roman pool lined with Murano glass tiles from Italy, taking years to perfect every small detail. Labor at the site demanded high endurance in the remote environment, with heavy materials transported up the 1,600-foot hill, requiring road systems and temporary storage. But Hearst and Morgan always prioritized quality, using modern reinforced concrete to withstand disasters, reflecting Morgan's experience from the 1906 San Francisco earthquake recovery. In its golden years, San Simeon was an entertainment paradise, where Hearst and his longtime companion Marion Davies hosted lavish parties, with guests flying to a private airstrip or arriving by train and car up the hill, joining formal dinners in the refectory with long medieval-style tables, ordinary ketchup and mustard placed alongside ancient Italian silver, reflecting Hearst's eccentric personality, a wealthy man who retained childhood camping habits. The zoo on the hill was once a pride, with hundreds of exotic species carefully tended but gradually disbanded as costs rose and animals were relocated to public zoos. However, behind the splendor were growing financial challenges, as the Great Depression of 1929 impacted Hearst's empire, forcing spending cuts and project pauses, though construction continued sporadically into the 1940s. Hearst, an icon of yellow journalism, with significant political influence, had supported campaigns and hosted presidents like Roosevelt, but also faced criticism for his lavish lifestyle amid national economic hardship. Julia Morgan, despite being busy with other projects like the Examiner building in Los Angeles, still traveled hundreds of miles on weekends to oversee San Simeon, their close collaboration documented through thousands of letters and telegrams, demonstrating mutual respect between two different individuals, a powerful publisher and a modest architect. By 1947, Hearst's declining health forced him to leave San Simeon for the last time for treatment in Beverly Hills, where he died in 1951 at age 88, leaving the unfinished project as a complex legacy. The Hearst family later donated the castle and its furnishings to the state of California in 1957, turning it into a public monument opened in 1958, preserving not only the architecture, but also the story of an era where personal ambition could shape an entire hill into a cultural icon. But amid tales of parties and art, some staff and visitors later reported strange experiences at the castle, such as echoing footsteps in empty hallways or distant laughter from old banquet rooms, though management officially always emphasized it as a place of happiness with no formal supernatural elements. Hearst Castle is not only a testament to William Randolph Hearst's wealth, but also reflects his personal journey from a boy camping on San Simeon Hill to a media tycoon controlling numerous newspapers, influencing American public opinion through campaigns like the Spanish-American War of 1898. The project's birth is tied to family legacy. George Hearst, rising from poor miner to wealthy senator via the Comstock Lode silver mine, built the land foundation that his son inherited, while Phoebe Hearst, a philanthropist and arts patron, instilled in William a passion for collecting European antiquities from their long 1873 tour. Julia Morgan, with her engineering background from Berkeley and Paris, turned Hearst's eclectic vision into reality, harmoniously blending Gothic, Renaissance, and Moorish styles, even as he often abruptly changed designs, leaving some parts like the rear of Casa Grande forever unfinished. The San Simeon construction site was a small community with warehouses, brick factories, and worker housing, where hundreds labored over decades, contributing to exquisite details like ancient monastery ceilings from Italy or stone statues from Egypt. Though no official records of major accidents or deaths exist, the project's scale in a remote mountainous setting surely demanded quiet sacrifices from laborers, with harsh conditions but professional management under Morgan's supervision. In the 1930s, as Hearst faced financial crisis, he had to reduce staff and delay payments, but maintained the project as a symbol of his empire, hosting famous guests to sustain social influence. Marion Davies, the actress and longtime partner, played a key role in making San Simeon a pinnacle of entertainment, with private film screenings and costume parties attracting rising Hollywood stars like Greta Garbo and the Marx Brothers. After World War II, brief work continued before Hearst's permanent departure, leaving the castle as a living museum with thousands of antiquities, from Renaissance paintings to Gothic mille-fleur tapestries. The donation to California not only saved the structure from decay, but opened it to the public, allowing generations to admire beauty once reserved for the elite. Today, visitors ride buses up the winding hill, exploring various tours of grand rooms, gardens, and pools, sensing the historical atmosphere preserved through original furnishings. But some folklore circulates about spirits that refuse to leave, from old staff hearing music and chatter in the dead of night, to visitors sensing strange presences in guest rooms, particularly linked to the mysterious 1924 death of film producer Thomas Ince on Hearst's yacht, an event rife with rumours though officially heart disease. These reports, though unofficially confirmed, add a layer of mystery to the castle, reminding that behind beauty lie complex human stories, from party joy to personal loss. Looking out over the Pacific Ocean from a Hearst Castle balcony today, it's easy to imagine a time when this hill was the centre of power and luxury, where William Randolph Hearst lived like a modern king amid priceless art collections and famous guests, but also where his journey ended as health failed in 1947. The forever unfinished structure reflects Hearst's character, always dreaming and changing, with projects like a private airport and zoo gradually vanishing over time. But Julia Morgan's architectural legacy endures, from load-bearing structures to refined decorative details, making Hearst Castle a National Historic Landmark, an inspiration for Xanadu in Orson Welles' 1941 film Citizen Kane, though Hearst tried to suppress the movie due to personal metaphors. After Hearst's death, the family carefully managed the estate before donating it, ensuring furnishings and antiquities were preserved, turning it into one of California's most popular attractions, with nearly 1 million visitors annually. Guided tours recount authentic history, from Mexican rancho origins to development under Hearst, emphasizing the creative partnership between him and Morgan, who designed over 700 buildings in her career, but considered San Simeon her pinnacle. The surrounding land still bears deeper historical traces, with Chumash and Salinan archaeological sites reminding of ownership changes through Spanish colonialism, Mexico and America, where natives gradually lost territory to disease and assimilation policies. Today, the adjacent Hearst Ranch remains family-owned, partnering in nature and cultural preservation, while the castle is public property, allowing everyone access to beauty once exclusive. Stories of paranormal activity, from old staff apparitions to Marion Davies's laughter or strange incidents around Ince's death, continue through books and staff accounts, though management views it as a joyful place and discourages supernatural rumours, perhaps to maintain a positive image. But these layers make Hearst Castle captivating, not just a symbol of ambition, but a place where human history intertwines, from indigenous loss to the rise and fall of a personal empire, reminding that every grand creation carries the invisible cost of time and untold stories. As sunset falls over the Pacific, the castle still stands, peaceful yet full of historical vitality, inviting visitors to reflect on the fragility of power and the eternal beauty of human creation.